Greetings and welcome to Deep Space Nine and aboard the USS Shadowstar, my flagship for this Star Trek Online Ships of the Line Stats Review, where we will be discussing today a ship that I will admit I've never been all that keen on, at least in Universe, and as such I never gave it much of a chance in STO Universe. With that being said, however, I may be about to eat my words, and there are a couple of fun things to discuss on this ship, including the necessity of a blockade runner. I hear the people saying it's not necessary in Starfleet, but hear me out later. So, before we introduce, allow me to just say a thank you to the individuals whose excessive generosity has helped to make this video a possibility. And I'm going to thank our Twitch subscribers, Tribal Typhoon, Miss Future Teach, Fox Plays Games, and Lord Armiger. Our donators, who once again has donated massively, Dante Demonic, Negus, and Skyhawking. And our past Patreons, Tribal Typhoon, Dark Stars Order, Cross-Eyed Deplorable, Skyhawking, and our YouTube members, the thing that has replaced Patreon, Spike, and welcome back, our previous Patreon, Travis Games. Nice to see you with the YouTube members. With this being said, please, again, at their generosity, allow me to introduce you to the USS Flying Scotsman NCC 1472A. Do you get the reference? And the next in the line of the Steam Runner class, the Appalachia class Blockade Runner Escort. My word, I was quick at getting these stats right. Now, this review will take place in 3 parts. A quick look at customization, then we're off to see the stats, discuss the consoles and traits, and then take the ship into action for the final part. So, without further ado, shall we begin? So, here she is in her glorious prestige inside the customizer, a natural look with the Type 7A hull, and as you can see, she's part of the Steam Runner line, and as such the Steam Runner templates are added to her family tree, so to speak. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this gives you some really nice looking aesthetics to choose from at a level, in my personal opinion, but I'm always going to be saying at a level, since I like the look of this ship from the front. I like the saucer, always have, but I just don't like the rear. That's me. Now, an interesting thing you may not notice there, well, you may notice there, but will then not be aware of, is that the Steam Runner within Star Trek Online actually has a refit, which can only be reached by selecting all refit components. Notably, this is a huge aesthetic difference. Not really. From the most that I've noticed, it's just re-armored up the nacelles, if I'm right. Yeah. Although they've made them a little bit slimmer though. So the nacelle armor's back in there. Oh, sorry, I didn't notice the beta. It's basically just slimming up nacelles, making them a little bit longer, and the warp coils at the back. As far as the lower pod goes, you get a more in-depth deflector. Really not sure the refit looks like it's the refit. It kind of looks like a retrofit. The pylons are something interesting, because it's the thing that made me notice the change between blue and purple. Though I will admit these pylons are definitely more powerful since they have their own impulse engines. Oh, the impulse engines aren't on... We got their impulse engines now. Guess it's not more powerful, they just removed the steam runner engines from the saucer. Interesting change in hangar bays as well. Yeah, there's a lot going on with this ship when you look at its refits. I'm spending too much time here. Quick thing I do want to note on though, other than that, is we do have access to the Defiant skin, Galaxy, which looks very nice, thank you, Intrepid, NX, and NX refit. I do quite like the NX on this one. Sovereign refit, which is my preference, if I'm honest. But Steam Runner is very nice in aesthetic look. Type 1 if you want to use it. Save it for the visual review, but there's something I'm going to be commenting on there. And some of the other aesthetics, little other hull types you can choose, do look okay on this ship, but of course, aging is showing. Appalachia, let's go. We took a long time here. Let's get to the actual meat and gravy. Don't know why, but I really am more keen on the looks of this ship in comparison to her previous iteration. Still think that module needs to be raised above though, rather than hanging below, but hey. So, the Appalachia Blockade Runner. You know what, Star Trek Online? You did a good job with reference to the name Appalachia. I respect it, hence why I'm calling it the Flying Scotsman here. It's just reference the railways, why not? But, no. There have been a few people stating, why Starfleet have a blockade runner? Now, let me interject here. How many enemies does the Federation have that would seek to separate entities of the Federation from itself? Who might blockade and cut off a world either associated with or actually part of the Federation? And in doing so, would the Federation not need a blockade runner in order to get supplies and aid to this world? Or, where this ship came from, the fact that it was an answer to the Borg, that's interesting to me. But I guess against something like the Borg, a blockade runner is 100% necessary because they can take over a system quick. But would you have said against the Borg that you'd go with pure offensive might? You see, this is where we're going with the stats, and where I think Cryptic has done actually a really good job, especially in answer to the Parliament class. You see, this ship is not going to be recommended to tanks or support players in the slightest, in my opinion. Excuse me. You may be interested in its console or its trait or its experimental weapon, but the ship itself, not so much. As far as the ship stats go, this is purely an offensively configured ship. In fact, it somewhat takes the Kelvin Vengeance stats and flips them in just the right way to make it a bit more tactical and take away what the Kelvin had in its other areas. Drop the hangar bay, but enhance maneuverability and speed. Lesser defense, but again, this is something to be said for maneuverability and speed. Increased tactical, slightly reduced engineering, give it an experimental weapon, and let it pack a punch. Here's where we're going. Now, I want to claim this right now. Keep this in mind as we talk about the stats. Where others have said this is a torpedo boat, my personal opinion, this is a beam boat powerhouse. Valakin taught me well on this one. We have a tier 6 Escort. At level 65, her hull is 51,750. Her hull modifier is 1.15 with a shield modifier of 1. However, her turn rate is 16, impulse modifier is 0.21, and inertia rating is 60. With bonus power complementing this perfectly, plus 15 to weapons and plus 5 to engines. She has only 4 forward weapons with 3 aft and an experimental weapon slot, plus the ability, of course, to equip dual cannons. Get your quad phaser cannons in. At a cost of 3,000 Zen, this impressive ship for its price also gives you 5 tactical consoles, 4 engineering, 2 science. And her bridge officer layout is exceptional in my opinion, with a tactical commander, of course, 2 lieutenant commanders, 1 tactical with command specialization and 1 engineering, a lieutenant universal with intelligence specialization, and finally an ensign science. Like I said, this ship is not going to be an amazing support vessel, and I would definitely give it a miss as a tank. However, she's gunning powerhouse, destructive, fast, nimble, and despite the lack of defense, that's probably not going to be much of a problem since she's going to be wiping ships out very quickly. I wish I'd managed to get the score to show you guys, actually, for those, Travis, who get to see the behind the scenes bit for this video. But where my record with the Vengeance was I think it was 150k, 1.5. I actually managed to finally hit the 200 mark with this ship. Wow! Okay, for me, that's impressive because I'm a weakling. This ship has got a lot of DPS potential, a lot of power, and definitely I am saying now, if you're a fan of the Defiant tier 6, the Valiant, you'll probably be a fan of this ship. You will definitely be a fan of this ship. And to make things better, this ship has some extras that Valiant does not have. Experimental weapon. Sorry. Custom experimental weapon, a different type. With that note, we're going to go from here to where this ship really becomes, I guess, a kinetic powerhouse, but I still am arguing beams are the better thing for this ship. So let me just say right now, sure, he's retired from the game, but in my personal opinion, my king for STO still remains Valakin. So much respect for that guy. Absolutely adored the videos he used to make. Gave me so much help and advice back in the day. And this ship reminds me of that kind of thing. From the videos I used to watch that he used to produce in his old live streams. It's why I went with the setup I went with. It's the knowledge he gave me. Because that knowledge really hits home here. This ship is perfectly laid out for the beams. And incoming a little bit of help that he said, Valakin used to always know, it doesn't matter what build you're going for, it's fine to really specialize and go full energy if you want to. But a lot of the time, you're going to have that random oddity, that one torpedo for the bit of extra punch, or the mines if you're focusing full cannons on your forward arc. Piercing projectile is a trait that can be utilized by any build excessively well, and I honestly believe this could be a very, very powerful trait to utilize. Personally, I'm going to be testing out for main running. When using a firing mode, such as for torpedoes or mines, you gain a 15-second boost of plus 200 to both your shield and hull penetration, allowing your outgoing damage to have a higher pen through all your enemies. I'm sorry, but 200 Starship hull penetration is actually a really good stat for a trait. I'm really hoping they won't nerf it though, because I don't consider it OP, but it is definitely a trait I would consider running with. I think I'd be more happy running with this trait than I am currently running with Ruin of the Empire, which is the one I normally go for, funny enough. So this trait from me is getting a score of 9 out of 10. Credit the Cryptic, you've done well. You then have this experimental weapon. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't think highly of it when I was first reading up on it, and from what I was watching other people do with it, because I did watch some other people use this first, I really didn't think highly of it. Those of you that have watched the testing video, you know what's coming next. Gotta eat my words, guys. The experimental hull spike battery, wow, it's strong. It's a lot stronger, annoyingly, than my favourite weapon, the railgun. A lot. It benefits from boosting kinetic damage output. It has a 360-degree targeting arc, dealing 863.6 kinetic damage, ignoring the shields. And to the target, you also deal 246.8 kinetic damage every second for 15 seconds. Damage over time, certainly, but do the calculations there, people. Do the calculations. We are starting off with a damage output of just shy, of 900. And then dealing the additional almost 250. The final damage output of this experimental weapon per shot is 4,565.6 kinetic damage. All done directly through shields. This weapon has a 5-second recharge time. Not bad. Essentially, we're firing a decent torpedo. The best part is, I'm not sure if it's intentional, but this also disables cloak. It might be a bug, but using it last night, I noticed it was disabling cloaking devices. That one could be a bug. If it's not a bug, this gets even higher score from me. But on that very same note there, final score for the whole spike battery. Not really a battery, but okay. I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. I like it. Now, then we come to... Oh, this is favoritism on my part, and I apologize, but I love Tricobalt devices. You know how to utilize a Tricobalt device properly? If you're in PvP and you use that properly, as I have demonstrated in the past, you can one-shot most Science and Escort ships. Don't let a heavy Tricobalt hit you. This thing takes it to an incredible level. Sod the passives right now. The active ability is an AoE kinetic damage and disable, launching 5 ultra high yield tricobalt warheads at the target within 3 to 12 kilometers, dealing 10,244.6 kinetic damage times 5, so 50,000 kinetic damage to foes within a 1.5 kilometer radius of each explosion. It should be noted, the more spread out the enemies nearby, the more it spreads out. If you're focusing this on one target, it won't spread out as much, making it much easier to deal higher levels of damage. Combining this with control effects results in catastrophic damage to the enemies. It is extremely powerful, maybe a little OP. Please don't nerf, I'm loving this console. Upon the detonation, it will also create a subspace rift. This does count as one of your anomalies. It doesn't trigger all anomaly active traits or other abilities, but it will benefit the majority, I have noticed. This anomaly lasts for 10 seconds and is an active effect within 3 kilometers, dealing 2,022 kinetic damage per second, ignoring shields. Any enemy within the rift will be disabled. The Tricobalt Tear Launcher is incredible in my opinion. Then it's boosting its own self, which I guess you can't really count, but it technically boosts itself and mines and torpedo damage output by 19%, with an extra gain which, I'm sorry, as anyone who goes for torpedo builds or kinetic builds and such will note, gives you a much needed 4.7.5 Starship shield penetration. Improves the shield penetration of your weapons. All weapons, but considering the nemesis of kinetic builds is shields, this is something much needed. There's a little bit of love and attention given to kinetics. At the end of the day, I'm just going to say this. Holy crap, I love this console. Really like this console, actually. And as such, this console gets 9 out of 10 from me. I may be an energy fanboy, but I can appreciate the need to be able to deal a good punch. Actually, this console might even be able to replace your torpedo if you desired. Yeah, it's got a 2-minute recharge time, but it's an option. Okay, I don't actually 100% recommend that. Enough being said, one thing less to go on the experimental weapon. Let's do it, because I do it. Whenever it's a good weapon, a good experimental, I upgrade it, don't I? So let's do it. And now our experimental weapon is dealing just shy of 1.4 kinetic damage, ignoring shields. Just shy of 400 damage over time for 15 seconds. As an accuracy boost, apparently. And if I re-engineer this, it would probably be even stronger. Can we re-engineer? Let's have a look. You can. You can. Now, Crit X is actually probably what I would go for with this. Or Crit D. No, I think I'd say Crit X is a very useful one for this. Unless you want to straight up go for damage out. You might want to re-engineer this final one, either for damage and crit, or just for straight up for the crits. Get the max you can out of this. Personally, I'm going to leave it where it is right now. This being said, foolproof isn't done, so it's time for me to take my Steam Runner in its true form into action. See you in a second. Trying to match the Flying Scotsman's colours, but unfortunately, it's the best I can do. Let's have some fun though. Oh, this is just gonna go all too nicely. Very quickly. In the right way. Lock. Down. Lock. Overkill time. Just allow me to demonstrate. Bye, buggers. Galore class, I'm coming at you. You're not running really fast right now, Blockade Runner. How slow of you. We'll deal with that in a second. Incoming number 2. Galore class, please do. Oh, we got like held on. Perfect time to demonstrate, I think. Oh, approaching agony. No. Hopefully it won't move too much before this triggers off. But with a singular target... yeah, those guys aren't going to get close enough for it. Incoming! Ooh, bit spaced. This is what I mean by damage output. And it's gone! And it's used. You guys just don't stand a chance. Said it once, say it again. This is DPS powerhouse of a ship. And I respect that about it. I like that about it. I'm also a huge fan of its aesthetic look. Like, that is such a nice look. It's only the side profile I don't like. So I don't like the hanging bit. But that it works when you're at the back. It looks really good from the rear. From the front. From the underside. It's such a beautiful looking ship. Great blockade runner. Gorgeous ship in general. Great output. I'm a huge fan of its experimental weapon, its console, and its trait. And I can't help but continue to support it in the sense of its actual overwhelming DPS output. So do I recommend it to support players? Only if you can utilize the trait, the console, or the experimental weapon. Same answer here for tanks. As far as support and tank goes, it's going to be the same in general, okay? For both of you, this is a ship that you pick up for its console, its trait, its experimental weapon, but you probably won't use the ship itself. I'll be fair. It's a fun little ship. You might want to tingle with it, but for your actual build style, it's a pass there. However, if you're a DPSer, she's a field day for you. Scoring, support. We all see where this is going, don't we, right? Yeah. Support. She gets... I'm feeling really mean here. As far as support goes, she gets 4 out of 10. This is because with command and intel, you can bring up her support potential. She's got decent maneuverability, but her lack of science position, science consoles, is a weak spot for her. And a standard science bridge officer position of ensign, she's on the low running side in my opinion. However, tank. I'm not going to break this one down either, because like I've said, it's not one you really want to worry about. This isn't really a ship for tanks, but her score for tanking is 6 out of 10. Why has she breached the 5 mark? She breaches the 5 mark because she has 4, possibly 5, engineering consoles, The 2 science consoles can help boost regeneration ability. Again, the Universal and the Lieutenant Commander Bridge Officer positions give engineering a decent strengthen. And the hull modifier isn't terrible, though it is low. She's an Escort, this is to be expected. No, I'm not recommending the support or tanks. DPS players. Okay, here we go. With what is out there at the moment for DPS, it's very difficult to hit the high scoring in DPS. Let's be fair. So a 10 out of 10 is not what this ship gets. Nor is she straight up achieving 9. But she is oh so very close. I was going to give her 8. I'm going to give her 8.5 out of 10. The issue is, we've seen these stats before. Many other Escorts. This isn't anything overly new or overly special. She is a very good ship. But as far as the stats go, same old really. Huge amount of capabilities there for her if you know what you're doing. She's going to be a great cannon, torp, or beam boat. And honestly, this is probably going to make her great, therefore, for anyone who is new to the game and wants to take on, well, even new to the game or is new to DPS. This is definitely a ship I'd recommend to you for getting into that. If it's your first touch in DPS, your first experience of getting a Zen ship, she's a great first choice for you guys because you're going to get a good trait, a good console, good experimental weapon, and she'll give you the basic feel and the rundown of what to expect from a DPS vessel perfectly. You couldn't really ask for better. You can, but not at this price range. As a result, I strongly recommend her to anyone looking into the DPS field of builds. I very much like the ship, which is funny to say considering I was not a fan of the Steam Runner, and I'm going to enjoy flying her for a bit. It's a nice change. And Cryptic, thank you for making a Zen ship. And also for making me eat my words in regards to ships of the line. I wish you could do this more often, Cryptic. This is the kind of behaviour I appreciate from you. Compliments to Cryptic, compliments to the art designer of the ship. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video and found it useful in some way. Again, massive thank you to my YouTube members, my Twitch subscribers and my donators for the support and generosity you've shown to the channel, and my previous Patreons, because some of you have donated a lot to the channel over the time. And hopefully I'll see you guys next time. It's time to disembark. Now, if you wish to help out the channel, please consider hitting that like button and sharing this video on your favourite social media platforms. Whereas, if you're wishing to stay aboard the ship and become part of the crew, you gotta ring that notification bell and subscribe to keep up to date on future missions. However, to everyone, thank you. Stay safe and take care of yourselves. And remember, you have limitless potential so long as you try. Till next time, live long and prosper, my friends. Engage.